You're listening to an Airwave Media podcast.
Want to learn how you can make smarter decisions with your money? Well, I've got the podcast for you. I'm Sean Piles, and I host NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Our show features our team of nerds, personal finance experts in credit cards, banking, investing, and more. And they'll help you make the most of your money while cutting through the clutter and misinformation in today's world of personal finance. You'll get clarity on strategies to help you build your wealth, invest wisely, shop for financial products, and plan for major life events. Listen to NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Want more control over your life? You need more control over your money. Hi, I'm Jean Chatzky, and that's why I started the Her Money podcast. From understanding your money personality to taking steps to earn more, spend wisely, invest for tomorrow, and protect it all, I can help you get there. So join me. Subscribe to Her Money with Jean Chatzky wherever you get your podcasts.
We'd like to start this message by saying how much we appreciate all of our Patreon supporters. Executing the podcast is a huge financial and time commitment, and as such, it would be absolutely impossible to carry out without your support over the years. The purpose of this message is to announce that we are sweetening the pot for our current supporters and anyone who joins Patreon in the future. Currently under Patreon plans $5 and up, you receive an additional monthly trivia episode as well as our Ask Me Anything styled crop drop. Beginning January 1st, 2024, we will be releasing weekly bonus trivia episodes personally written by the hosts in addition to the crop drop. As always, new and old Patreon members will also have access to our enormous backlog of bonuses upon joining. If you have been considering joining, we hope you will consider the new episodes as yet another invitation to sign up. We hope our current members will enjoy the influx of episodes and you will never be short of trivia content. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/trivialitypodcast. And now, it's time for the show.
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality.
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the game where a lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. I'm here with Jeff. It's just us in the studio, Jeff.
That it is, Neal.
As the song says, it's just the two of us.
And I think we will make it.
I think so too. Do you remember that?
As Yoda says, there is no try. So
that's true. It reminds me of Dr. Evil and Mini-Me. Remember when they sang a cover of Just the Two of Us?
Yeah, I can't quite do the deep bass you and I.
You and I. I can't do it. My voice wasn't as good as it should have been.
Better than I was expecting.
But speaking of Austin Powers, Matt and Ken are not here, but they are at an aquarium right now trying to outfit sharks with freaking lasers
attached to their heads.
That's right.
Wow.
So
I always knew they were two men of question. I didn't know they were both men of mystery.
They are sometimes men of mystery.
Definitely ill repute.
Yes, I agree. But we wish them well. We hope that they don't have any limbs bitten or anything like that. I know that Steven Spielberg, one of my favorite filmmakers, always regrets the image that were painted on sharks after Jaws, but they do still eat people. So.
Just very rare.
Very rare.
I think there's probably more people that eat people.
I think so. I think if there was therapy for sharks, they would just be very conflicted about their status in the world. But yeah, we appreciate sharks, especially the ones that listen to the show. But we have some
Gordon Gekko listens to this show.
So we have some special guests with us today. We're super excited about. First, we're going to introduce our guests. And one is a returning guest. He's been on a couple times before, but we wanted to have him back to play another game coming to us from Austin. Our friend Nate. How are you, Nate?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
Doing good. Remind the folks at home a little bit about yourself and what you're up to in Austin by way of New York, right?
Yeah. So I'm originally from upstate New York. I've lived in Austin for about 2 years now. Former engineer. Now I work in marketing for a tech company down here. And yeah, I think I played probably around like 6 months ago, hosted one game and then played one right afterwards. So yeah, happy to be back.
Well, yeah, thank you for being back. And you actually invited one of your friends who just started listening to the show, which we're super appreciative of. And maybe I'll let you introduce your friend coming to us from Buffalo. Yes,
I will introduce my friend and brother-in-law, Brandon, from coming from Buffalo, New York. And I'll let him introduce himself beyond that.
Yeah, hi. It's very cold here. It already is cold here. It's about 30 degrees and raining, which is about the worst it can be. But we just persevere here in Buffalo.
Now, speaking of Buffalo, are you one of the many fans of the Bills who jumps through tables, or is that not your gig?
I'm a little too old to jump through tables. I think maybe in my 20s I would have if it was a thing. I'm actually a transplant to Buffalo. I've been here for 15 years, and it really is true that you can't go anywhere in this city without someone saying "Go Bills" to you. It's just part of the culture, and you just can't help it. Nate is a New York Giants fan, and we had a little rumble a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true. You definitely
About
did.
as much of a rumble as we can give them. Yeah, but
well, we hope that your performance today is not indicative of Daniel Jones, but we're going to wish you the best of luck. And what's your team name today as you play together?
yeah, we're going to be Communication Breakdown.
A little Led Zeppelin theme I'm feeling.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're going to put away our copy of Led Zeppelin 4 because Jeff, you and I obviously have to partner together today. And we're actually going to be AC/DC because of a fun connection for today with today's host. But what's our team name going to be?
Yeah, we're going to be Podcast to Hell.
Right. That's what a lot of reviewers were saying when our early iTunes reviews. We wish this podcast would go to hell.
Yeah, and still after 6 years, some people say it has. So
that's true. Yeah, it's what the reviews say. We have to listen to them. But we have a very special guest here. The reason we picked AC/DC is because we love Australia. We love all of our Australian listeners. Obviously, we're huge footy fans here, but also, I should say more so, that we just love the people. And one of those people is an Oakland 5 supporter from Central Coast, Natalie Anderson. Thanks for joining us, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and different kind of nerves to when I'm trying to answer the questions. Asking the questions is a whole new ball game, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Of course. And
thanks for agreeing to do so.
And we appreciate you writing a game. We know how hard it is for any guest host to come on the show and write a game. It takes a lot of work and research and effort, so we thank you for that. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a clinical psychologist by day and really nothing by night. I don't know why I said it like that, because by night I'm just a regular person.
You're not a superhero is what you're
saying? No. Live here on the Central Coast, which is about an hour north of Sydney, but I have lived in the States a couple of times as well with my husband's work. We've spent time in Denver and San Jose and Palo Alto. So I do feel like I have a little special connection with the US, and listening to all of you guys all the time helps me keep that alive. So it's good.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea that you lived in the States for a little bit, so that's great. Well, we appreciate you putting in all the work to host today's game. What listeners don't know is right before we started recording, I think you ran up several flights of stairs to change positions. So we know that you're physically exerting yourself for today's game too, and mentally, so thank you.
No problem at all.
All right. Well, we have our teams. We have Podcast to Hell versus Communication Breakdown, and we're going to go right to the rules. And who better to tell us the rules than Natalie herself, who recorded a great rules read for us. So let's go to him.
The Aussie rules of the game are simple. 20 questions split into 2 rounds worth 10 points apiece. At halftime, there will be a special swing round designed by this week's host. After regulation, players will enter the final round with the points that they've accumulated and will have a chance to wager 0 to 30 points on 5 categorised questions. At the end of the game, someone will be named the cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop.
So, Natalie, that was your American accent. How did you think your American accent sounded?
That was my American accent, was it?
Yes.
That was actually why we moved home, because our children were getting old enough that they were starting to develop American accents, and we were like, "Oh, quick, we better go, or they'll never let us back into Australia again. If we don't go now, it'll be too late." Okay, no worries. So as I mentioned before, I am a clinical psychologist and I actually specialise in relationship therapy. So I'm surrounded by couples most days of my life. And I was sort of thinking about that, and really that didn't lend itself to trivia questions as such, but it did inspire me to write pairs of questions. So there's no overall theme to the game today, but the questions will be coming in pairs with 2 questions per category through the first and second rounds. no clues in the category questions. They're pretty straightforward, but there are some subtle clues built into some of the questions. Not all of them, but some of them. So let's go. So our first two questions are going to be in sport. Question number 1. Here in Australia, we are still on a bit of a high after hosting the FIFA Women's World Cup earlier this year. Our team went further than they have ever before, waltzing their way to the quarterfinals. What is the Aussie team's nickname?
All right.
This is a weak point for me, I got to be honest, but I can only think of cliche Australian things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there's like the All Blacks for New Zealand. I think it's just like the Lady All Blacks, but I can't remember. Man, I think is it something to do with like yellow or blue? I have no idea, man. I think we might have to just tap on this because I have no idea either.
The Blue Wombats.
That's a pretty great team name. I know, we're much more of a footy fans here, but I do know a little bit about the other teams. I know the male soccer team, I believe, is the Socceroos, but Natalie gave us a really nice clue in the question when she said waltzing, and so we're going to lock in with Matildas.
Okay, and you're right on both counts. The Socceroos are our male team and our girls are the Matildas, so well done. Now, I promise you, there might be one more Australian question somewhere, but they're not going to all be Australian. I couldn't resist the opportunity to shout out the Matildas because they're having a great year.
They are, yes.
Okay.
Now, Neal, will you go a waltzing Matilda with me?
Of course.
I don't know what that means, but...
Yeah, what does it mean, Natalie? Do they teach you that?
So, funny you should ask.
No.
Yeah, so a Matilda is actually Australian slang for a swag. So like a pack that a traveller would carry is called a Matilda. And so in the song, the traveller, I guess, he is singing to his swag, I suppose.
Oh,
okay. I don't know exactly how it translates into the song.
Sits along the billabong, am I correct?
Yeah.
Sits along the billabong.
As the TikTok kids would say,
looking for his jumbuck. He's
talking to his Australian drip. What are you talking about? All right, sorry, we can continue.
Neal, you're too old for that.
I know.
Okay, question number 2, also in sport. There is only one digital Rolex in existence in the world. At which sporting venue can this item be found? The venue is now used exclusively for one sport, a sport that is loved by many around the world. I'll accept either the full title of the venue or what it's known as colloquially.
Okay, Jeff and I have a guess. We're not too confident on it, but we're going to lock in.
Okay, so Brandon, I think Rolex they're like either Swiss or German. So I think we were discussing it might be F1. Do you know any specific F1 tracks?
I mean, there's Silverstone in England, but the more popular, it's not an F1 track per se. It is a racetrack. It's called the Nürburgring in Germany.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know.
I'll go with either one of those. I mean, honestly, don't know anything about F1, so.
Let's go with Silverstone.
Okay.
It's a coin flip. I might lose it.
Final answer, Silverstone.
I really liked what the other team was talking about there. F1 used to race at the Nürburgring. They had like a smaller track that was off to the one side of it. And the Nürburgring does have a famous nickname. It's called the Green Hell. But that's not what we guessed. We thought maybe it was tennis. I know I see the Rolex stuff all over tennis, so we just guessed Roland Garros. But we have no idea.
Okay, so lots of good chatting, lots of good thinking. Podcaster Hill, you got so close. It is tennis, but it's the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, otherwise known as Wimbledon.
And we had talked about Wimbledon, but we couldn't think of its nickname.
Yeah, we didn't know it had a nickname, yeah.
Wimbledon is the nickname.
That was what I thought. I'm not sure if I sent you up a garden path there, so I apologize if I did.
No, that was fair.
That explains why I thought it was tennis. Something in the brain.
Yeah. I also threw in a sport that is loved by many. Pretty subtle clue, but, I'm trying.
No, that was perfect.
Okay, so questions 3 and 4 are going to both be in television. So question number 3. Despite using sports trivia to open the game, it's not my strongest subject. Here's the story of how I answer sports questions from the 60s or 70s. My answer is always Don Drysdale, Deacon Jones, or Joe Namath. They're pretty much the only people I know from this era, with this knowledge coming from their guest appearances on my favourite childhood TV show, which I watched in reruns. They each appear as themselves and show up to inspire or help out one of the kids on the show. What TV show did they all guest star on?
All right, Brandon. Wow. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, is this probably some talk shit? Well, them appearing as themselves and also helping a kid. I think like helping a child, like there's like you could do like Sesame Street, or it's probably too early if it's 60s, 70s, 80s for what's his name, the guy from Pittsburgh. Won't you be my neighbor?
Oh yeah, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, yeah, but maybe like Sesame Street or a talk show like you were saying, Johnny Carson. I don't know.
I think helping kids really is almost a little clue into Sesame Street, right?
Yeah, I would think so. And appearing as themselves, they're all famous.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd say
I think Sesame Street's been around that long too.
Yep, it definitely has been.
Okay, we read this question and figured it out right away. There was a clue in the question that was very nice from Natalie, but we're not sure if Natalie was a Marsha, Jan, or a Cindy in her own life, but we said the Brady Bunch.
And yes, you're right. Here's the Story was our lead into it being the Brady Bunch, which was my all-time favourite show as a kid, and it's pretty hard to look past it even when people ask me that question now. And to answer, have I been a Marsha, Jan, or Cindy? I've been all of them, but more recently I'm a bit more like Carol, which is a bit sad because I'm getting old. And I sometimes hear myself parenting and think, oh God, that sounds like Carol Brady. So my kids love it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep, nothing wrong with being Carol.
Okay, question 4. We're in television again. In the episode of Seinfeld titled The Butter Shave, Kramer starts shaving himself with butter, as the name would suggest. Newman gets quite taken with this and is looking at Kramer with hungrier and hungrier eyes as the episode progresses. In one scene, Kramer is bathing or boiling himself, butter and all, in his hot tub. Newman looks on and is seen to be reading a disturbingly apt non-fiction book by Piers Paul Reed whilst doing so. Which book is he reading?
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have any idea on what this is, even though I've seen this episode and every episode of Seinfeld several times. But I don't know, boiled or cooked or something like that. Something to do with that. Brandon, do you have any random guess?
I mean, I assume that it's a book about eating people, but other than that, I'm really not too sure. I'm trying to read into some of these clues, as there have been some tricky little hints in all the clues, but it's
right.
I assume there's something in there somewhere, but I just can't pull out a title.
Yeah, I can't either. I don't know. The Omnivore's Dilemma.
That's a great guess. We know this episode super, super well. I mean, like all of Seinfeld, we know that Newman hallucinates that Kramer is a turkey. He's like basting himself. But we could not come up with the name of a book. So we just thought maybe it was being apt. Maybe it was The Joy of Cooking or something. So that's what we said.
Okay. Brandon, you were so close when you were starting to talk about the book about eating people. It's exactly along those lines. It's the book called Alive, which is the story of the Andes survivors, the football team from Uruguay who crashed in the Andes and resorted to cannibalism to keep those who were alive still alive. So I, like you guys, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. I've seen that episode several times, never picked it up, and then was watching it a couple of months ago and then just saw like they don't show it. It's not a big feature. It's just he's just holding it in his hand. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's attention to detail.
That's a nice touch, yeah.
That he's reading that book in that episode.
Yeah, that's a good deep cut. Good deep cut.
Okay, so moving on to question number 5. Now, traditionally, this is a listener-submitted question on Triviality, and back in 2020, Neal used a Back to the Future question that I sent in. It was my first unofficial appearance on the show, which was very exciting. Jeff, of course, knew the answer instantly. Now, in trivia, no one wants to be defeated, but it doesn't really matter who's wrong or right, but I'm interested to see if I can stump anyone this time around. So tell me, in Back to the Future Part 2, what song is playing when Marty walks into Cafe 80s in 2015?
We can lock in over here.
Well, I mean, the popular stuff from Back to the Future, there's always Huey Lewis. But knowing this is a little later, there's a lot of Michael Jackson as well. And I know that from a little history here in the last few clues, there's always a little something in the question. So the doesn't really matter who's wrong or right pretends Beat It to me by Michael Jackson.
Yeah, we see no one wants to be defeated, and we think,
beat it.
Just beat it.
Yeah, so we said beat it as well.
Points all round. That is the correct answer. Well done.
Another great question for clues in the background, because you don't really think about the songs that are in the background sometimes of those famous movies. But
yeah, the entire time Neal's just over here like Biff, just growing like half a foot taller to intimidate me. So,
but it is Natalie's question said it doesn't really matter who's wrong or right, but unfortunately in Triviality it does, because we have to have a score recap after the first 5. Communication breakdown with 10 and podcast to hell only at 30, so still anyone's game.
Okay, so sticking with our pairs of questions, question 6 is also a listener-submitted question. That one comes from my 18-year-old daughter. 3 of her favourite TV shows, that being The X-Files, True Blood, and Bates Motel, all have episode titles identical to which number 1 Taylor Swift song?
All right, Jeff, I don't know a lot of Taylor Swift songs by title.
It's funny. I just looked up a list of Taylor Swift song number ones.
I mean, like
for
Shake
a
It
question
Off.
I was writing. I know her first one with Garth Brooks.
Right. There's Shake It Off. There's Cruel Summer. Which is like, but I was thinking, I don't know if this is like way out of left field, but like X-Files is about whatever you want to call it, like the unknown.
Yeah.
True Blood's werewolves and vampires. So she does have a song called Folklore. I don't know about Bates Motel having anything to do with folklore, but I cannot think of another Taylor Swift song that would fit though.
Yeah. I'm not seeing Bad Blood.
Oh, Bad Blood. Actually, that would be really good because of the blood, right? True Blood. Bates Motel, it's about murder. X-Files, maybe there was some sort of weird blood disease that made someone like a creature.
I don't know. I could see that one, and that's the only one I can fit because, like, unless it was Red or I don't think it was Blank Space.
Well, yeah, I like that. Let's do Bad Blood, but I do want to shout out a friend of ours. Yeah, well, yeah, and Kendrick Lamar. But I do want to shout out a friend, Tessa Bossi, who opened up a cafe in Lamont called Folklore. So you go check it out. It should be open by the time this episode airs. But
oh, lovely.
Lamont, Illinois. But yeah, we're going to go with Bad Blood.
Okay, so Brandon and I were chatting a little bit. We weren't 100% sure, but one that came to mind was Love Story. So we went with Love Story.
Okay, so 2 excellent Taylor Swift songs mentioned there. One of them is correct, and it is the one that shows up a fair bit in those 3 shows, which is Bad Blood. So well done to Podcast to Hell.
Nice.
But Brandon, I think your daughter is on the right track that Love Story is her favourite. That's a great one.
I'm just remembering my like hot girl posse that I hang out with all the time, and that's how I got into that song.
When you're at the mall and going to Orange Julius and shopping.
I mean, I think my favorite part of that music video is Mariska Hargitay and Ellen Pompeo show up.
Oh, that's right.
End.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor Swift has 2 cats. One is Dr. Meredith Grey, and the other one is named for Detective Olivia Benson.
Yeah, Benson. Yeah.
Wow, I'm basically a Swiftie now.
You are.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to question 7 and 8 are going to be science adjacent. This one is wordy again, so I will put it in the chat afterwards. Before the invention of the light globe, English inventor Goldsworthy Gurney added calcium oxide, also known as quicklime, to a burning mixture of hydrogen and oxygen and produced an intense white light. This technology was used to create spotlights to highlight particular actors or parts of the stage in theatre productions. The technology is now outdated, but it gave rise to what saying, meaning to be the focus of public attention, that remains in use today?
I think we're probably good over here, Nate.
We're locked in. Yep. Sounds good.
Okay, they're locked in over there. So, Jeff, anything on the science angle of this?
Quicklime. I'm assuming this is the limelight.
The Lime. Oh, that makes. Oh, yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, not LimeWire, where we used to download albums that were mislabeled.
I still haven't destroyed those hard drives, Neal.
Yes, but no, I really like Limelight. Yeah, I'm good to lock that in if you are.
I think that's our best guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and Brandon got this one pretty much immediately and sent it over to me. Limelight as well. I do remember LimeWire and Kazaa back in the day.
Yep.
But yeah, Limelight.
Okay, terrific. Again, points all round. To be in the limelight is the saying, and that's where it came from. Something I was never aware of until I came across it recently, and I thought that was an interesting little tidbit of where that saying came from. We say all these things, and I don't ever question why I say them. You just say them, and then when you find out where they come from, I think it's kind of fun.
That is cool. And I'm sure Geddy Lee also knew when he wrote the song for Rush.
That's right. He was just researching the same thing.
Alrighty, so question 8, science adjacent again. I thought I should probably do something from the world of psychology, given I've spent a fair bit of my life dedicated to it. So, factitious disorder is the new name for what psychological disorder? First defined by physician Richard Asher in 1951. Asher originally named the disorder after a fictitious German adventurer who was based loosely on a real-life German aristocrat, both of which were known for telling tall tales of their escapades. Okay, so I believe both teams are locked in. So why don't we start with communication breakdown? How did you go?
Yeah, we said Munchausen's, which sounded like a German word to us, and I believe it has to do with making up illnesses and the symptoms of illnesses.
Yeah, we had a very similar discussion. We were just trying to think of German words that had any sort of psychological connection, and Munchausen was the first one Jeff said, and we said, that sounds pretty good, so that's what we locked in with.
And it sounds pretty good because it is pretty good, because that is the correct answer. Well done to both teams.
I didn't know they had renamed it.
Okay, so questions 9 and 10 are going to be in the category of famous names. Question 9 is, it's not uncommon for actors, musicians and other celebrities to choose a stage name. Born in 1972, who is Lonnie Rashid Lynn Jr., better known as?
Okay, well, I don't know if it would be this direct, but I know there's got to be some clue in there, Brandon. So it's not uncommon. My thought is like the opposite. Well, it's probably not common, like the rapper, but not uncommon, like frequent. It's not unusual. Who thinks it's not unusual to be loved by you?
He's older than born in 1972.
Oh yeah. That's definitely, man. I've really got to get these dates down because 1972, right, is someone, I don't know, in their 50s now.
I remember when I thought people born in the 70s were old and they were in their late 20s.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
whoops. Nate, I think you're onto something. There is a trend here of clues in the clue, and I think that's the only thing I've got is common.
Okay, all right, but she literally said it's not uncommon. But I mean, yeah, that could totally be it.
Which means that it's common.
Yeah, right. Great detective work there. All right, let's go with common.
So the other team locked in on a rapper, ironically from Chicago, but we decided...
It's actually coincidental.
Or coincidental, thank you.
Yeah.
Not Alanis Morissette. But we locked in with an actor, musician who was in a movie called Just Right. It's a romantic comedy with Queen Latifah. And we locked in with Common.
Okay, so both teams looking in with Common. Both teams finding my perhaps not so common or uncommon clue. I don't know what, but both teams getting it correct. Well done.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, that was a great clue.
I got worried when you guys sort of said it, but then went away from it. I was like, oh no. So I was very glad when you came back around to it again. Okay, and question 10, also in famous names. American author F. Scott Fitzgerald was named after a distant relative of his, another American man who died in 1843, 53 years before Fitzgerald was born. This ancestor was, like Fitzgerald, best known for his writing. One particular piece of writing, in fact, that he completed in 1814. Although, unlike Fitzgerald, it wasn't a novel. Who is he?
We're locked in.
Just the F. Scott thing to me, Francis Scott Key, he wrote Star Spangled Banner. And that seems about the right time.
Yep. F. Scott, Francis Scott, probably.
The not the only thing giving proof is that both teams are going to be answering Francis Scott Key on this one. So,
Okay, so both teams locked in with Francis Scott Key, and both teams correct again. Well done. So communication breakdown started a little slow, but stormed home towards the end of the round.
That they did. It looks like communication breakdown is going to be at 50 points, and Team Podcast to Hell still on their way to the underworld. We have 80 points, so still a close game. But before we get to the swing round, I just want to say thank you to all of our patrons for helping make the show possible. What's great about Patreon is we have people from all over the world, just like Natalie from Australia, and we have a host of other patron subscribers from Australia and Germany and the Netherlands and
the
Canada
UK
and
and
UK.
Ireland. And
So, we never thought we'd be able to have a connection with people from around the world, but this show has brought that, and it's all due to our patrons, right, Jeff?
Absolutely.
And if people want to get involved with Patreon, Jeff, where can they go?
Patreon.com/trivialitypodcast, where for as little as $5 a month, you can get an added bonus episode. We're going to be adding even more to that in the coming year, so stay tuned for an announcement on that.
Yes, and
Very
it
exciting.
might have even been at the top of this episode.
It may have been.
It may have been.
I don't know how editing works. That's why Ken does it.
Yeah, so Ken may have dropped in sort of some fun news. So if he did, you would have heard it at the top. And if you haven't, we'll keep it a secret for now, I guess. Yeah.
But you can get bonus episodes, ad-free episodes, episodes early, in addition to so many other great perks. So if you're interested in supporting the show directly, we would be so grateful. Again, patreon.com/trivialitypodcast.
And for all you people with your mind in the gutter, it is not a fireman's calendar. Maybe in a few years, we'll see how it goes. But thank you to all our patrons. Natalie, what is the swing round today?
Okay, so our swing round today is picking up on that final question. So in honour of F. Scott Fitzgerald's no longer mysterious F, and our very own Neil E. Fisher's E, our swing round is going to be all about deciphering the names of authors who are primarily known by their initials. So there's going to be 20 initials spread across 10 authors, and the scoring will be 2 points per initial. I will give you a cryptic clue to help guide you to the names. Now, I want to be clear, the clue isn't about the author as such. It's a way into the names themselves that the initials stand for. And working all of that out, it's only worth 40 points. We like a swing round to be worth at least 50. So there'll be an added bonus point for the birthplace of each author. So if we run through an example, R.L. Stein would be worth 5 points, 2 for the R, 2 for the L, and 1 for his birthplace. And the clue might be something along the lines of, I didn't realise Mr. Redford spent time in Arabia, with the answers being that the R in R.L. Stein stands for Robert Redford, and the L stands for Lawrence of Arabia. There's no double ups in the names. So if you've already had one name and it's right, don't guess it again. But there are some double ups in the birth countries. And for the purposes of the question, please separate the countries of the UK into England, Scotland, and Wales.
All right.
Because it turns out there's not a whole lot of variety in where these authors are from. So I had to boost up the variety a little bit by breaking that down. Okay. So author number 1 is A.A. Milne. And your clue is that guy from MASH was really great. Author number 2 is L. Ron Hubbard. And your clue is he that French guy? Author number 3, J.R.R. Tolkien. Your clue is, can a common clown really be a friend of God? Author number 4, H.G. Wells. And your clue is, good baby naming, Mrs. Wells, a presidential beginning and a royal ending. Author number 5, C.S. Lewis. Your clue is paging Mr. Owen, you're wanted at the stationery counter. Author number 6, L.M. Montgomery. And your clue is, do you think diamonds are B. Arthur's best friend? Author number 7, J.M. Barrie. And your clue, I wonder if the 1st or 6th kings ever read the Gospels. Author number 8, Arthur C. Clarke. Your clue is try not to bark up the wrong tree with this one. Author number 9, W.E.B. Du Bois. And your clue, have you heard this one? A prince and a vampire walk into a sports store in Milwaukee. And author number 10, P.L. Travers, with your clue being, who would have thought that that girl from Baywatch would become a president?
Okay, we will go over these clues and be back with our answers.
All right, Neal, guess who is back and better than ever with a new game?
Who?
Geeks Who Drink.
Oh, we love Geeks Who Drink over here.
Yeah, Matt, why don't you tell us about their new exciting game?
This is a new game. It's called Thrice. It's a game you could play at thrice.geekswhodrink.com. It's a daily game. Every day you get a set of 5 clues in different categories. There's 3 questions per round, all with the same answer. The way it works is if you get it right on the first try, you get 3 points, second 2 points, and third 1 point. And the goal is to get as many points as possible, which sounds super fun. So if you guys want to play a little sample game, we can do that right now.
Let's do it.
All right. This one, I feel like we're going to get the 3 points just because we lived through it and we're big saxophone fans. That's why we would know this. It's in entertainment. Bill Clinton belted out Heartbreak Hotel on saxophone on a 1992 episode of Who's Talk Show.
Definitely know this one.
Oh, yeah. Classic. That's got to be Arsenio Hall, the chameleon himself.
Yeah.
And my phone tried to autocorrect it to Arsenic Hall, who is not somebody I know. But
that's where at the end of every show, like Oprah, everyone gets poisoned instead of a new car.
We all walked out the Arsenic Hall.
That sounds like a period drama that you might watch on like AMC.
Oh, yeah. Arsenic Hall. I like that. Yeah.
All right. So the next one is in the category of social sciences. Here rests in honored glory. So begins an inscription on what D.C. area monument?
Here rest in honored glory. Jeff, do you think that could either be the Vietnam Memorial or maybe the Korean War Memorial?
I would say maybe the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Let's do that.
Oh, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is correct.
Yeah!
Wow, hey, nice.
Wow. We're crushing this one, so we're going to do one more, and let's see what happens if you get one wrong. But we never get one wrong, so who knows? Arts and literature.
Yeah, set us up for that one, Matt.
What's the word of Joyce Kilmer's poem, Trees? What's the first word?
Oh, I see. I don't know if we're going to know this one. We might have to go to the second clue. How about we just say
leaves?
Leaves, yeah.
No, okay. For 2 points, what's the first word of Walt Whitman's poem, Song of Myself?
Oh, boy. We're so bad with poetry here.
I
like that. What I do like about this game Thrice at thrice.geekswhodrink.com is that if you can't get the first clue right, the second clue right, at least you're going to go home with 1 point, hopefully, if you get the third one right. But I have no idea, Jeff. Let's just go with I, like you said.
Well, I is correct.
The ayes have it, Neal.
The ayes have it. I is correct is the best grammar sentence I've ever spoken. But yeah, so that was 2 points. So that was pretty fun. We got 3, 3, and 2. So that's a total of 8 points. We only played 3 questions. But let's see what you guys at home can do. So make sure you go to thrice.geekswhodrink.com, play today's game, and then let us know how you did.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. That is thrice.geekswhodrink.com. And let's get back to the game. Okay, we are back with all of our answers for the swing round. And just to reiterate, the initials are going to be 2 points each. So if you get both initials right, if a question has 2 of them, you'll get 4 points. And then an extra bonus point if you get the country correct, country of origin. So let's go back to Natalie and we'll list the questions. We'll give our answers.
Okay, so question number 1 was A.A. Milne, the clue being that guy from MASH was really great. What did you guys answer for that one?
Yeah, this one, we figured you were referencing Alan Alda maybe, and we couldn't think of another A, so we just said it was Alan Alda Milne from England. That was our guess.
Yeah, we said Alan Alexander Milne for Alexander the Great.
Sure, yeah. The country we chose, France.
Yes, communication breakdown picked up on both of those clues. So Alan Alexander is correct. And England is the birthplace. Okay. Author number 2 is L. Ron Hubbard. The clue was, is he that French guy?
Yeah, this one was all Jeff. I hope it's right. Jeff?
Yeah, I was wondering, what did I miss? I was thinking that this might be a famous French guy that was potentially in Hamilton, and we said Lafayette.
And we said the United States.
Okay, and communication breakdown. What did you have for L. Ron Hubbard?
We tried to puzzle over a French L name, and we chose Louis Ron Hubbard, and we chose the United States.
Okay, so points to both teams for the birthplace. It was the United States. Lafayette is what the L stands for. So points for Podcast to Hell for that one. Author number 3, J.R.R. Tolkien, with the clue being, can a common clown really be a friend of God?
I'm laughing now because I never even read the clue. I think Ken will be quite proud. I know it's John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. And if I remember correctly, although he was British, he was born in South Africa.
That is a step further than we had. We chose John Ronald Reuel Tolkien as well. We knew he was British, and that's where we landed with England.
Okay, so John Ronald Reuel, correct for both teams. So just deciphering the clue if anybody needed it. Common, John. My apologies to all the Johns out there. It's a lovely name. It is common.
Very.
Clown, Ronald McDonald. And friend of God. Reuel is a friend of God in Hebrew.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I'm acting like, look how knowledgeable I am. I Googled that. Google told me that. And the birthplace was South Africa. So 4 points to Podcast to Hell and 6 out of 7 for communication breakdown. All right, on to author number 4, H.G. Wells. The clue was good baby naming Mrs. Wells, a presidential beginning and a royal ending.
We said Hubert George, and to throw a little love to Wrexham AFC, we thought there'd be a Wales in there, so we said Wales.
We had trouble puzzling the H, but I think I just wrote down randomly the name Harry, George for the middle name, Wells, and we just picked the United States of America.
Okay, so I just need to check in with Podcast to Hell. What name did you put for H?
Would you say it was Hubert? You said, right?
Yes.
Hubert with a U, H-U?
Yes.
Okay, I was just checking the accent, whether I was picking it up wrong. It's actually Herbert, as in Herbert
Hoover. Oh, I'm so goofy. That's what I was thinking was Herbert Hoover, and I wrote Hubert.
Oh, no.
You know that guy, Hubert Hoover.
So Herbert George, and he was born in England. Okay, moving on to author number 5, C.S. Lewis. The clue, paging Mr. Owen, you're wanted at the stationery counter.
Yeah, this one we had fun with. I think half of it might be right. We thought the Owen was for Clive, so we said Clive was the C. And then for the S, this sounds ridiculous, but maybe it's real. We said Staples.
Like so does C.S. Lewis, though.
Yes, that's true. So we think it's Clive Staples, like the store, and we said England.
We had trouble with the C. We did have fun with a middle name as well. We wrote Chester Stamp Lewis, and we chose England.
Stamp's a fun middle name.
It's funnier the more I think about it now, because it's definitely not a name.
So 4 points to Podcast to Hell. It is Clive Staples, as in Clive Owen, and you buy Staples at the stationery counter. And also, I think over there is Staples a stationery store?
Yeah, it's like a kind of like a whole office supply store. Yeah.
We had no idea that would actually be a name. I said, okay, that's cool. All right.
And points for England. He was actually born in Northern Ireland. So when you said that earlier, Jeff, I was like, oh, goodness. But England officially is correct.
Cool.
All right. Author number 6, L.M. Montgomery. Do you think diamonds are B. Arthur's best friend is your clue for that one.
Yeah, so this one was a little trickier than we think.
Yeah, we initially thought diamonds are a girl's best friend. We thought Marilyn, that's what we had for the longest time, but we couldn't think of an L that would go with B. Arthur, but we knew B. Arthur played Maud. So we switched it to Maud, and then we kept trying to think of where the diamonds could be, and we thought maybe they're
potentially the sky.
With Lucy. So we said Lucy, Maud, and we just said Scotland for a country.
We had a very similar back and forth. However, we never really got to the diamonds part. So we said Lauren, Maud, Montgomery, and we also picked Scotland.
Okay, so it was my little enjoyment of the Beatles coming through there. Lucy Maud is the correct answer. And she was actually born in Canada. She is the author of Anne of Green Gables. So if you put that together, you might have found your way to Canada, because that is where Anne of Green Gables is set.
All right.
Okay, author number 7, J.M. Barrie. The clue being, I wonder if the first or sixth kings ever read the Gospels.
Well, thinking of the Gospels, there's definitely a Gospel according to Mark. And we had already locked out John, so we think this is potentially King James the first and sixth. So we said James, Mark, Barrie. And Neil, what do we put for country? Because I forgot to write that down.
We didn't see any Ireland there, so we thought maybe he was Irish.
Oh, perfect.
So I know it's not great for those who love trivia, but we don't know all the books of the Bible. I know that's one of the things that you really should have in your pocket as a trivia player. However, we arrived at the same guesses, James, Mark, Barrie. And as a little nod to the host today, we chose Australia.
It's funny. I'm remembering that there's not only Gospels according to Mark, but also of Matthew. So I was like, oh no, maybe we missed out.
It was a coin toss on that one, and I heard Communication Breakdown tossing that coin. Unfortunately, you both went in the wrong direction. It was Matthew, but you got there with James. So 2 points for James. King James being, I believe, the first king of Scotland and then the sixth king of England. Have I got that right? That's where the first and sixth came from.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
And the birthplace was Scotland. So no points there on that one. Okay, author number 8, Arthur C. Clarke. Try not to bark up the wrong tree with this one.
Yeah, we have a ridiculous answer for this one. We think
forgot about it.
We thought maybe he was Australian. We needed one Australian on here. And then bark up the wrong tree. We couldn't think of a good C name, so we just said Cujo, the killer dog.
We also really couldn't come up with a great middle name here. We went with something fairly bland. We said Arthur Charles Clarke. And we said the same country as well.
Okay. Oh, so you both said Australia for that one?
Yes.
Okay. So no points for the birthplace. He was actually born in England. But there are points going to one team. It is Cujo. No, I'm only kidding. It's Charles. No, it's Charles. And the lead in there, the clue, maybe a little bit too subtle, was going down the NBA line of Charles Barkley trying to bark up the wrong tree.
Okay.
I knew you were lying to me, but I still felt very excited.
Okay, number 9, W.E.B. Du Bois. Have you heard this one? A prince and a vampire walk into a sports store in Milwaukee.
Yeah, so we thought Prince William. Jeff is Team Edward, so we said Edward. And then Berghoff.
I'm Team Bella.
I'm Team Bella, yeah. We'll imprint each other later. So we said Berghoff for the sports store, and we said America or United States.
Down a similar track for us, the B was a bit more challenging. We had William, Edward, and we just chose a random name, Barry, Dubois, and we chose the U.S. as well.
Okay, so William, as in Prince William, was correct. Edward, as in Edward the Vampire, was correct. The sports store in Milwaukee is Burkhart. So close, close. And he was born in the USA, so 5 points apiece to both teams there. And our final one, P.L. Travers. Who would have thought that girl from Baywatch would become a president?
Yep, this one, Jeff reenacted a slow motion run down the beach. We said Pamela for Pamela Anderson, and then Jeff, you had the L.
Yeah, when I go L, I think Lyndon for presidential. So we said Pamela Lyndon. And for the country, we selected
England?
Sure.
Okay, we said England.
Okay. And Communication Breakdown, where did you land for this one?
We also had Pamela Lyndon, though it was a coin flip, whether it was Lyndon or Lincoln. I just wrote down Lyndon because it was more fun to write the Y than an I. So Pamela Lyndon, and we chose Wales.
Okay. So Pamela Lyndon is correct. I was listening to you guys debate between Lyndon and Lincoln, and I wasn't sure where you landed, so I was really happy when you went with the Y one. Pamela Lyndon, and you all picked it that I would throw one Aussie author in there, and sure enough, it was Pamela Lyndon Travers, author of, Mary Poppins. I could see her face and the name was escaping me. Was actually born in Australia.
I have Communication Breakdown picking up 29 points, bringing their total to 79 going into the second round. And then I have Podcast to Hell picking up 35 points, bringing their total to 105. So great swing round and very inventive, Natalie.
Okay, moving on to round number 2. So again, like round number 1, we will be looking at pairs of questions, the first 2 being collective nouns. Question number 1, what is the name for a group or collection of surfboards? My husband assures me whatever the name is, the more you have, the better life is. I just never realised there was good surf in Sherwood Forest.
Okay, we'll lock in on the Communication Breakdown side.
Okay, so they're locked in, Jeff. Sherwood Forest isn't Winnie the Pooh, right? That's the
100-acre wood.
100-acre wood. I don't know why I'm thinking it's Sherwood Forest. And then
You're
Sherwood.
still on A.A. Milne.
I am. And then Sherwood Schwartz is the creator of the Brady Bunch and also the creator of Gilligan's Island, but that doesn't help us out either.
Also correct, unless there's a minnow in here somewhere. But the Sherwood Forest is Robin Hood, I believe, correct?
That does sound right now that you say it. Yes.
There's a sheriff of Nottingham in there
yes,
as well.
With the dull spoon. Yes. Okay. So Sherwood Forest, Robin Hood. It's not a bag of gold. You want to have a bag of gold and going surfing, hitting the waves. What kind of word would mean a group of surfboards? Wait. My husband assures me whatever the name is, the more you have, the better life is. Loot. I don't know.
Sure, let's call it a loot.
All right.
I mean,
Robin Hood steals
they
the
probably
loot
had
from the rich.
Well, I was thinking there was maybe a bard there playing the lute.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll say loot.
So my immediate thought, Nate, is with Sherwood Forest, I think of Robin Hood shooting a bow and arrow. You're gonna have a quiver of arrows. I think I got to go with quiver.
That makes total sense to me and better than anything I could BS. So yeah.
Okay,
Quiver.
so points to one team today. It is quiver.
Wow.
Yeah. Well.
Nice.
Well reasoned out, and I apologise for Jeff and Neal. My sentence about my husband. I think you were looking for a clue in there. I was just finding a way to give him a little shout out in the game, so I apologise for that distraction.
Maybe a little friendly, good-natured ribbing too.
Potentially, yes.
Quiver is a much better answer, and it's definitely what happens when Ken does ASMR to both Jeff and I. So.
Oh, I thought you were going to say when you got up on the board, your knees just go a quiver.
No, that's when I rock climb, my knees just quiver, and I can't move. Yeah.
Okay, question number 2, still in collective nouns. I received a postcard recently from a friend who had been travelling the world. She excitedly reported that she'd been doing some wildlife spotting. Her message read, I saw a flamboyance whilst on safari, and later in my travels I saw a murder in a parliament. Which 3 groups of species had she seen?
Cool. I guess, Jeff, let's start over here. You wrote down flamingos for flamboyance, crows for murder, which is always a fun one, and then we couldn't really figure out parliament.
But you and I both wrote down meerkats, and that can't be a coincidence.
Yeah, it had to have been stuck somewhere, so that's what we locked in with.
We went down a similar path. It was very quick to flamingos, very quick to crows. Nate suggested owls for a parliament, and I really like that. I think a parliament of owls sounds exactly right, although it is just a gut feel. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so agreement on the flamboyance of flamingos and murder of crows. They're both correct. I just did a quick little Google to make sure that I hadn't missed something, because I know sometimes different species will have the same collective noun. But one of you got it and the other one didn't. It is a parliament of owls.
Wow.
And I quickly looked up meerkats just in case, but this is saying that they are called mobs, a group of meerkats living
They're
together.
way cuter than that.
So that's why they keep coming over to the studio every Monday asking for 10%.
I think there's something else that is a murder. It's not just crows. There's something else that is a murder, as you were saying, Natalie.
Ah, okay. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you both just went with crows, because that's what I had. So that's good.
Meerkat the mobster. I was going to do a voice, but I don't know what he would sound like.
Yeah, like a 1920s Meerkat. Like, yeah.
Yeah, come on with the
something-
planes, you see?
You can't get out of here.
I don't wear any
I was
pants,
thinking-
see?
Just when I get out of the burrow, they pull me back in.
That's good.
Okay, question number 3, American political families. I was lucky enough to play tourist in Washington last year and learnt lots of interesting things. Whilst visiting Arlington House at Arlington Cemetery, I learnt that George Washington and Robert E. Lee actually had a family connection. How were they related? And just a warning, there are a few steps involved.
All right, we are going to lock in over here with a not great guess, but we're going to try.
Okay.
Educated.
Yeah.
So, Brandon,
6 or 7 years old, educated, but.
So I think there's multiple steps, as she said. So it's not just going to be like grandson, right? So it could be like I don't know, second or like cousin twice removed. Doesn't removed make it one generation beyond? I have no idea, man.
I'm wondering if we're back to having some little clues within the clues.
Oh, yeah,
step,
absolutely.
a few steps. So it's like a step something.
Oh, right. So step grandson?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Robert... I don't know. I'm not sure where to go with this one, honestly.
Yeah, I think we established they're probably either 2 or 3 generations apart, right? Probably 2. So, yeah, let's just, I don't know, step grandson, or if you want to say, whatever.
Step great grandson?
Sure, step great grandson.
Okay, so they're going step great grandson. We locked in on the steps as well. We figured had to do something with that. Jeff, what did you lock in with officially?
Yeah, we said the same idea, like grand stepsons. So like his stepfather's father was related to Washington or something.
So I must admit, I probably didn't expect any correct answers here, but man, you got so close. I just thought it was a really cool fact and wanted to share it. So how it works is that Robert E. Lee married George Washington's step-great-granddaughter. So making Robert E. Lee George Washington's step-great-grandson in law. So you guys, communication breakdown was so close, except it was in law. As opposed to biological. So the way the line, if you want to follow it, Martha Washington had 2 children from her first marriage, and these children became George Washington's stepchildren. He didn't actually have any biological children of his own. The son, John Parke Custis, had a son, George Washington Custis, who had a daughter, Mary Ann Randolph Custis, and she married Robert E. Lee.
Wow.
So,
I'll tell you where my brain was during that question. All I kept hearing was the Jonas Brothers going, great, great, great granddaughter is doing fine. Year 3000. That's all I kept hearing. It did not help whatsoever. So
I was going to say, Natalie, congratulations. You officially know more about
American
George
history
Washington
than we do.
like American.
well, as you can probably tell, I actually accompanied my husband on a business trip without the kids, and I was there alone at Arlington Cemetery doing the tour. So I had a lot of time to take in all of that level of detail, because certainly playing tourist with the family doesn't afford me the time to read that amount, but it's good. Okay, so still in American political families, I'm just thinking, I'm not sure that I actually introduced the category earlier.
you did. You said political families. Yep.
Ah, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, question number 4, still in American political families. George W. Bush and his 2004 opponent, John Kerry, are both distant relatives of which famous alliterative American, who was born in Chicago in 1926 and died in a famous mansion in Los Angeles in 2017. This man was not a politician, and it's probably not surprising that neither of them used this family connection as part of their presidential campaign.
Okay, so we were having some trouble. We were trying to think of alliterative Americans that maybe were, what's the word I'm looking for?
We're thinking of criminals, honestly.
Unsavory characters.
We just went straight to criminals, just
so
figuring that you wouldn't want to associate with them.
So we started with Lucky Luciano, but we're like, he probably
was a little older.
Yeah, he would have been like 18 or 20, in the 20s. But then we kept seeing the word mansion, and we were trying to think who died in the last 6-7 years, and we thought maybe they all have smoking jackets in their family. So we said Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, and we had the same thought process. Brandon latched on to the word mansion, the clue, and we also said Hugh Hefner.
Okay, so points all round. Hugh Hefner is correct. Apparently, both George W. Bush and John Kerry, and I guess George H.W. Bush as well, are ninth cousins or thereabouts through connections that go back to the Pilgrims. Wow. And I just realised maybe not George H.W. Bush. I don't know if it's on mum or dad's side for George W. Bush. So, yeah, I didn't research that far. Questions 5 and 6 are going to be timed questions, geography in 60 seconds. Question 5, the question was inspired by a question my mum asked at a recent charity trivia night that she hosted. So using the English spelling of their names, there are 7 countries which have the letter H or H, depending on how you want to say it, as their second letter. You have 60 seconds to name them and you'll receive 2 points for each correct answer. Okay, so I'm going to give each team 60 seconds to talk this through and work it out. Communication breakdown, we're going to start with you and your time starts now. And Podcast to Hell won't be able to hear you, so go for your life.
All right, Brandon, the first 2 that come to mind for me were Chile and Chad.
I've got China.
China, okay.
Philippines.
Philippines, nice. There's got to be like another one of those like H. I know there's like H, like silent second letter. You know what I'm talking about? Or like maybe Ghana, yes. Australia, New Zealand. Bhutan? Does Bhutan have an H in it? No.
Yes. Sorry.
Nepal. Bangladesh.
I feel like we're missing something very obvious. Yeah. It's killing me.
3, 2, 1. Yep. Okay. And Podcast to Hell, you've got 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Okay. China. Chile. Chad.
What about Ghana?
Oh, that's a good one.
There's no PH countries?
No, the Phoenicians are, that's not.
SH?
Sri Lanka?
Yeah. That's SR.
Yeah, nope.
Shahrazad? No, that's not.
That's an old Middle Eastern tale. It's got hard fast.
TH maybe?
Maybe.
U, V. I'm just thinking, going through the alphabet. X, Y. No.
I'm sure there's like more.
It's got to be more
CH
CHs, right?
Yeah.
No, that's CZ. Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, Czechia.
Czechia?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, and that's time.
Oh, that was tough.
Okay, so you've both worked through your lists and given your guesses, and I'm going to give you the correct answers now. The official list of countries with H as their second letter in alphabetical order are Bhutan, Chad, Chile, China, Ghana, the Philippines, and Thailand.
Oh,
so
yeah.
communication breakdown, so close. Got 6, 12
Wow.
points altogether, just missing Thailand. And 8 points with 4 correct countries for Podcast to Hell. Unfortunately, Czechia doesn't make the list. It's a CZ. Yeah. Or CZ. CZ.
Oh, no, you're right. No,
hemisphere you're in.
It's better that way.
Wait, sorry, how many?
Potato. Sorry?
We got 6 right? Or
You got 6 right. You
Okay,
did.
nice.
It was only Thailand that you missed.
Wow, well done.
After 5 questions in the second round, the lead is very narrow right now because Communication Breakdown, with that great performance, going to be picking up 42 points, bringing their total to 121. Podcast to Hell only picking up 18 in the first 5. They're at 123, so 2 points separating both teams right now.
Okay.
Wow, that is close.
All right, so question number 6 is another geography in 60 seconds. Being an Aussie listener to all of these American trivia podcasts, which I love, I have to try and know lots about the states of America, all 50 of them. I'm interested to know how much you guys know about Australian geography. We have a mixture of states and territories, but we only have 8 in total. How many of them can you name? Again, you'll receive 2 points for each correct answer. Communication breakdown, you'll go first, and your time starts now.
Okay, so the ones I know are New South Wales and
Yes.
Isn't Tasmania technically a territory? Okay. And then what's the one that the capital's in? Starts with the C. There's also, is there Queensland?
I'm trying to
or
think
Victoria
back to my
or
time
something?
watching the Australian trucker show that was on over here.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. I know like the Northern Territories. I remember the Northern Territories.
Yeah, there's the Northern Territories in both Canada and in Australia, right? So yeah, that's definitely one. I think there's a Queensland. Let's just say Queensland and Victoria, because I think one is Canada and one's. Is there like a
3, 2,
okay. North
1.
Australia?
Okay, so time is up. Okay, so podcast to hell. Our communication breakdown have locked in their answers. Your time starts now.
All right, so we have Natalie's from New South Wales.
Yes.
Queensland, Collingwood Football Club, and all the best footy teams are from Victoria, pretty much.
Victoria. Tasmania.
Well,
you got Western Bulldogs, so Western Australia.
we got Northern Territory.
Yes, Northern Territory is
The
in
bush?
the middle.
That doesn't count. I just said the bush.
South Australia is where Adelaide is.
Yes, that's right. And then where a team should be.
ACT, right? Australian Capital Territory. Isn't
Yeah.
that the last one?
Did you say Tasmania?
I said Tasmania.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Australian Capital Territory?
You want one in Hobart? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. Or Darwin.
I think that's all of them, right?
I think so.
We said Queensland.
New South Wales, Western Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, Northern Territory, South Australia, and ACT.
And Queensland.
We said
8.
Queensland first.
Yeah. Okay, good. I think we got them all.
Okay, good. And with 5 seconds to spare.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so the final list is New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, and the 2 territories are the ACT, the Australian Capital Territory, and the Northern Territory. So full 16 points to Podcast to Hell, and an admirable effort from Communication Breakdown, getting 5 out of the 8.
Nice.
Okay, so questions 7 and 8 are going to be famous deaths. Question 7. King Charles and Queen Camilla waited a long time from first meeting to finally marrying, but they had to wait even longer than initially planned, with their 2005 wedding ceremony being delayed by a day to allow then Prince Charles to attend a different religious ceremony, a funeral on the European mainland. Whose funeral did he attend?
So yeah, Brandon, it's got to be someone massive to delay a wedding like of that caliber, right? So, I mean,
it's got to be a pope.
Yeah. So the pope that would have died then would probably be John Paul II. So I think let's go John Paul II.
Your Catholic upbringing, I will go with.
All right, perfect.
All right, Neil, show me that pope.
Show me that white smoke. Yeah, we said John Paul II.
Okay, and points to both teams. It was Pope John Paul II. Okay, question number 8, also in famous deaths. If social media had been around forever, Emperor Yuan of the Han dynasty would have awoken one fine March morning to his newsfeed showing reports of what infamous death, which occurred over 5,000 miles away.
All right, yeah, Jeff and I locked something in.
Yes, we locked in something too. My first thought was no clue, but then when I saw the word March again, I immediately thought Ides of March, Julius Caesar. So we just went with Julius Caesar.
When I think of the Ides of March, I start singing Vehicle, but that's a little different.
Yeah, it wasn't Jim Peterick who was who died 5,000 or during the Han Dynasty. But yeah, we thought
no, still alive and kicking,
Yeah.
and a nice guy to boot. But we too said Julius Caesar.
Nice.
Okay. And I'm so glad that you both got that correct. Julius Caesar is the right answer, because as I was reading it this time around, I've read it many times, I thought, one fine morning I actually didn't check the time zones and work out if that news would come through in the morning or the evening or when. So it's like, as long as you both get it right, I don't have to worry about that. So well done. And thank you. Much appreciated.
Of course. Well, if social media, I mean, yeah, probably would be tweeted pretty quickly.
All right, so our final 2 questions for round 2 are in my favourite trivia category, movies. Question number 9. The letters NRVOUS form the license plate for the red Ferrari convertible featured in which movie? Luckily, the main characters really got to make the most of the car because skies were blue and it wasn't too windy for them to drive around with the top down.
We can lock in.
We can lock in.
Ah, I didn't even get time to post that one in the chat. Okay. Podcast from hell. What have you? Podcast to hell. Sorry. What have you locked in? Sorry.
Shots fired. It's okay. I was kidding.
Is that a Freudian slip from the psychologist?
Yeah, I just read an article today where someone was saying that Ferris Bueller's Day Off is really about Cameron, and he's the lead character, not Ferris, because he has an arc in the movie, but we said Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay, and communication breakdown. What was your answer?
I grew up on this movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, points to both teams. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. How could I write a game and not include Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Always
well
so
done.
Fun.
Okay, and question number 10, also in movies. Which actor appeared in the 2001 film Zoolander as J.P. Pruitt? He's one of the few actors to win a Golden Globe for Best Actor in both a drama and a comedy series. He did not quite look like himself in Zoolander. In fact, as someone who had quite the crush on him in the 90s, it was quite spooky to see him looking like this in the early 2000s.
We can lock in.
Oh, David Duchovny? With the arm?
Oh, that's an excellent guess.
But why male models? Are you serious?
Spooky X-Files.
Yeah, it's David Duchovny. We got there eventually.
So
I need to go watch that movie.
We had a long discussion. Not a long discussion. I guess it was pretty quick. But
yeah, I'm a big fan of freak gasoline fight incidences.
Yeah, but as
incidences. What's the plural?
As amateur psychologists over here, we just had a gut feeling that Natalie often cosplayed as Agent Scully. Agent Scully. So we said David Duchovny.
Oh my goodness! So no photos will be shown of any cosplay with me dressed as anything, but Spooky Mulder is exactly who we're talking about. David Duchovny is the correct answer.
Isn't there actually like something called like the Scully effect or something where more women went into science like during that period because they were like they think that they can specifically track it to X-Files?
Yeah, which is awesome.
Well, speaking of awesome, the scores going into the final round are very, very close, and they're pretty high as well. So communication breakdown batted perfect in the second half of the second round, picking up 50 points, bringing their total to 171. And podcast to hell, also perfect, just had 6 extra bonus points on question 6, bringing their total to 179. So it's 179 to 171. So let's hear those final round categories that we can wager on, Natalie.
Okay, so for the final round, my favourite Australian export is Olivia Newton-John. So our final round today is a little dedication to her, with the categories being some of her song titles. So category 1 is Hopelessly Devoted to You, which is actually a movie question. Category 2, The Banks of the Ohio, which is actually a language question. Category 3, Jolene, which is actually a music question. Category 4, Xanadu, which is actually a poetry question. And category 5, I Honestly Love You, which is actually a celebrities question.
Okay, the wagers are now locked in. This is the first time Brandon's been on the show. He's only listened to a few episodes, but he wholeheartedly agreed with Nate that they should go big or go home, which if Brandon listened to the show a little bit more, he'd know that that's our mantra as well. So both teams are going 30 all the way down on every question. So let's see how this shakes out, Natalie.
Okay. So, question number 1, your category, Hopelessly Devoted to You, actually a movie question. The question is, most of us know that Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta played Sandy and Danny in the hit movie Grease. Name either of the 2 actors that played the second hopelessly devoted couple, Rizzo and Kaniki. Question 2, in the category The Banks of the Ohio, which is actually a language question. The great state of Ohio was named for the Ohio River. The word Ohio comes from the Seneca word Ohio, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which translates to what? Question number 3, category is Jolene, actually a music question. Olivia Newton-John did, in my opinion, the best cover of Dolly Parton's song Jolene. She wasn't the only one to cover it though. Among others was which band who originally used their cover of Jolene as the B-side to their single Hello Operator in 2000 and then as a live single in 2004. Question number 4, category is Xanadu, actually a poetry question. Marco Polo described an enchanting Chinese city named Chengdu in his travel logs. Xanadu is the anglicised version of the name Chengdu and was popularised through which Samuel Taylor Coleridge poem published in 1816, the alliterative title of which should not be confused with Chengdu's founder. And question number 5, category is I Honestly Love You, a celebrities question. My favourite of Olivia's songs is I Honestly Love You. It was written by Peter Allen, another Aussie music legend. Although he later came out as gay, he was married to which American female celebrity from 1967 to 1974? Given their shared musical ability, him being part of the LGBTQIA+ community and her family history, I often wonder if they sang about rainbows together.
Okay, we just got the questions. We'll be right back after these messages with our answers. And we're back. The answers are now in. We'll go right back to Natalie, get the clues, and see how this is all going to shake out. It's 179 to 171. Close game. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so question number 1. We are in the territory of the hit movie Grease, and what I was looking for was either of the 2 actors playing the second hopelessly devoted couple, Rizzo and Kaniki. Communication breakdown. Who did you go with?
I was actually in the play Grease in high school, so I had a 1-year love affair, and I remembered that Stockard Channing played Rizzo.
Yep, I thought we had to name both for some reason, and I misheard. But we had Stockard Channing for the first one, and this movie is my mom's favorite movie of all time, my favorite movie musical, and Jeff Conaway is Kaniki.
Yeah, so both teams getting their wager there. Stockard Channing and Jeff Conaway is correct. You did only need 1, but no bonus points, but cred points for you, Neil.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And tell your mum I said hi, because that's also my favourite movie of all time.
Oh, yes, I will. You'd love to talk. She saw it like 17 times in the theater, so.
Oh, wow.
Did she ever see Brandon in it, though, in his high school play?
I think she was there, front row.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Okay. Question number 2, the great state of Ohio was named for the Ohio River, with the word Ohio coming from the Seneca word Ohio, which translates to what?
Yeah, for this one we wagered 30, and I think it just means good river, which was obviously long before the Cuyahoga got polluted.
Okay.
So I'm actually just about 90 minutes outside of Ohio and drive to Cleveland fairly frequently. On the road sign entering Ohio, it does have the word translated as Great River. So I'm hoping that's actually true.
Okay, so we've got 1 answer of good, 1 answer of great. The answer I have written down is that I can accept good or great. So points all round.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Whew. My blood pressure.
I like that, a celebration and a sigh of relief. Okay, question number 3. We're talking about cover versions of the song Jolene, and I'm looking for which band used their cover as the B-side to their single Hello Operator in 2000 and then as a live single in 2004. Communication breakdown. What was your answer?
Love this album. It's the White Stripes.
Yeah, we agree. We said the White Stripes.
And points galore. The White Stripes is correct. Well done.
It's getting close.
So question number 4, Marco Polo described an enchanting Chinese city named Chengdu, with Xanadu being the anglicised version, which we all came to know through the Samuel Taylor Coleridge poem. What was the name of that poem?
So we wagered...
Podcast to Hell, what did you go with?
Oh, yeah, thanks. We wagered 30 on this one. And I don't think Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner founded Chengdu, so we said Kubla Khan.
Kubla Khan. And communication breakdown, what did you go with?
Yeah, we also said Kubla Khan, and Kubla Khan did Xanadu.
Okay. It gave me chills, to use a Grease reference when you quoted that, because that is a lovely quote that Olivia says in the Xanadu movie. So that was lovely, Brandon. And correct, Kubla Khan is the answer. You guys are killing the final round. Okay, last question. My favourite of Olivia's songs is I Honestly Love You. It was written by Peter Allen, another Aussie music legend. He was married to which American female celebrity from 67 to 74?
Yeah, so Brandon and I did not know this answer, so we just guessed someone. He guessed someone who we thought had been married several times. I think she was married like 5 or 6 times, so we went with Judy Garland.
Yeah, this one, we had to read through the clues a little bit. We know Peter Allen, famously portrayed by a personal favorite of mine, Hugh Jackman, in The Return to Oz, or Oz, the musical. And anyway, we were trying to figure out the time period, and then Natalie put a great clue in there about rainbows. But we went to family history because we knew 67 to 74 would have been prime for Judy Garland's daughter, so we said Liza Minnelli.
I knew she was too old. That's the right one.
So yeah, you were both dancing in the right area, rainbows being the lead in there to that family, but it was Liza Minnelli that Peter Allen was married to. And just to save people emailing in, the Boy from Oz, Neal,
Boy from Oz, thank you.
Musical you were trying to grab there. Yeah, so Liza Minnelli, the correct answer for the final question.
What a final round. So both teams were getting every single question right. It all came down to the last question. And unfortunately, with the answer of Judy Garland just being the mom, not the daughter, it looks like Team Communication Breakdown is going to be picking up 90 points, bringing their total to 261. And Team Podcast to Hell going to be picking up 150 points, bringing their total to 329. Unfortunately, making us today's cream of the crop, but that was such a great game back and forth. What an awesome match together. So thank you to both Brandon and Nate for a wonderful game. And Natalie, the questions were amazing. It's just awesome game. So let's start with Nate and Brandon. Brandon, this is your first time on the show. How did it feel? Did you have fun? And any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking to start. After listening to a few episodes, the questions on this show are a little harder than I'm used to. So I was mentally preparing myself all afternoon for a total beatdown. So I'm lucky and happy we didn't get absolutely trounced by these two. Yeah.
Shout out to you guys. It's always fun coming on and playing against you. And same as Brandon said, I'm just happy that we didn't get stomped. And also shout out to Natalie, because honestly, great round of questions, and that was a lot of fun, that swing round.
Well, thank you so much, Nate, for all of your support, over the course of the podcast, and Brandon, it was great to meet you tonight and to have you be on this game. But Natalie, just to echo what Nate said, an amazing game, wonderfully worded questions. We know you spent a lot of time working on them, and we had a blast. So thank you for writing the game.
Oh, that was my absolute pleasure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it. And yeah, I think it was a whole lot of fun, not a whole lot of work to put it together. So
good.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Of course. And anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you go today?
So first of all, I want to shout out Louis, who play tested the game for me and gave me some really good feedback. He did actually call it out that it played a little bit hard, and I didn't change any of the questions. All I did was I added in a couple of extra hints. So the fact that you guys did so well is kudos to all of you. And other than that, I just want to shout out to you guys, because the entertainment that you bring us all on a weekly, sometimes more than weekly basis is just so much fun. And the process of preparing the game and organising to host, you're just so friendly and so welcoming and so enthusiastic, and it's just been enjoyable from beginning to end. And thank you so much for all that you do.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah, we couldn't do any of it without all of your enthusiasm and help coming to host games, coming to play games if you're a contestant. And thank you so much for that and for being a great ambassador to Australia, and one of the reasons we love Australia. So we do need to make our way down there to have an event of some sort and hang out. So hopefully we'll be working on that in the background. But for Ken and Matt, who weren't here, unfortunately, they're working on those lasers for the Sharks. And Nate and Brandon for performing valiantly today, almost beating us. We almost lost there, Jeff. And for Jeff, my name is Neal, and that was another episode of Jeff.
Triviality.
That is correct.